everyone. Welcome to this week's episode where it's going to get very personal. I'm going to make the uncomfortable comfortable and tell you that I am horrible at the verbal word. Verbally speaking, I'm much better at written. And so I may get flustered during this. But this week, again, I want to talk about shame. People feel it on different levels, some more than others. And you would think, even me today, with the body that I've always wanted, I don't feel shame or insecurities or anything, but I still do. Not of my outward appearance, but me as a person internally, because I'm still trying to work on, I'm constantly wanting to grow as a person, wanting to be a better person, not only for my husband and my family, but for everyone in the world, because we need, better people, but we're gonna cut that out. So, shame. So, let me just read something that I wrote earlier this week. I'll show you the picture first, because the picture, let's see if I can do it in the screen. That's not even me at my heaviest, but that was me prior to plastics and then me right now. And the language that I put with it, again, a little bit of the written word, but here we go. Shame. For too long, I felt shame for having the gastric sleeve surgery, or otherwise known as weight loss surgery, as it was a last resort option for me at that point in my life. So why do we allow this feeling? Why do other people think weight loss surgery is the easy way out? I see a lot of people saying they lost weight, quote unquote, naturally. What is that, and why does it have a better connotation of being better than any other way of losing weight? And a side note here, we all have different paths to our goals, and if weight loss surgery is on that path, I am here to tell you that you're not alone, and you're not to allow yourself to feel shamed. This is your journey. Going on to say, we all have tools in our toolbox to help us aid us in achieving our goals, whether that be fitness, weight loss, overall wellness, etc. And it's up to us to use whatever tool or combination of tools to our advantage to get us there. Weight loss surgery, as I've said before, was nothing more than a tool. I say it's forced portion control. Plastic surgery, which might have the tummy tuck and breast augmentation, was nothing more than a tool. Macro counting, what I attribute my success to, was nothing more than a tool. I use these tools to achieve the body I've always wanted, which, is my body. But more importantly, I gave myself grace along the way. I just wish at the end of the day that I didn't feel shame, but I'm here now, and I want to tell everyone to feel free, love yourself through your entire journey, and give yourself grace and patience. And the picture that I just showed, that didn't happen overnight. That was more than 3 years. But looking at or reading what I just wrote, my perspective changed, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I turned through my journey of feeling shame into looking at it from a different perspective and saying, well, it was just a tool. But where did that shame stem from? And, through this journey, I've done a lot of self-reflection, a lot of internalizing through past and trying to go through my feelings and try to figure out where, work on myself. Like, what do I want to work on? And where did that shame come from? And I know a lot of women, if you're in the same boat as me here, it started from a very early age, and sometimes it was one of your parents, and that was the case for me.
Now let's just take a second, because I know where we're going with this, and it's an emotional topic for so many reasons. So going back to your statement that you wrote, that you shared with everybody, there was a lot there. So we're going to strip this away, and we're really going to talk about the shame piece of it.
Yeah.
And you'll see through our conversation how internal and external noise influences and how it impacts your own personal self-reflection.
Yeah.
And I think we were talking about it before we started today, and it's amazing to me how chaos breeds chaos, right? I mean, it loves it.
Mm-hmm.
But positivity doesn't necessarily breed additional positivity.
Yeah.
So it's when you're filling your bucket, it's almost as if the thing that's going to hurt you the most,
misery loves company,
right, is the thing that's going to take and fill whatever void you have the fastest. And we'd like to think that joy can do that, but unfortunately the light doesn't shine into the darkest places. The darkness gets darker.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about your main driver of shame from an early age.
Which I didn't figure out until I was 42 years old, y'all.
Yeah.
So
where do you start?
Where do I start? Okay. I have the best mom in the world. I love my mom. She is so supportive. She's my biggest cheerleader.
She's a bit kooky, but we love her.
I love my dad, but he is the reason for where this all stems from. Because from an early age, my insecurities, from an early age, he would make comments about my weight, and I wasn't a fat kid. I wasn't a skinny kid, but I wasn't fat by any means.
But I also think it's important to note that your father was a professional athlete,
Yes.
professional figure skater back in the 60s. So at 19, when he was winning like the U.S. figure skating championship, and we're not going to go into any of his other accolades, but back then, so at 19 years old, this finely tuned, well-fit, professional ice skater, professional athlete, just essentially looked at it as if it came easy to him, and so therefore anything that he saw in you was a flaw.
I don't think it's that.
You don't think that?
No. I think it's just he looks at women differently.
Oh, that's very true, yes.
Yeah. So again, I wasn't a fat kid. He would come up to me and he would poke me in the belly and say, "You need to start running." He would, like my mom would always carb me up the night before a swim meet or something, and he'd be like, "You need to finish everything, or you don't need to finish everything on your plate." He would just make comments. As a child, you don't think anything of it. You're like, "Oh, okay," but then, it's like planting that seed.
It's the inception process.
The inception process, planting that seed to as you age and you mature, and then you become a teenager, and you're still getting those comments that are like, okay, well, wow, I do need to lose weight. And
well, it doesn't help if you have it at home by the one who your parent.
You're trying to get your approval from.
Well, but not even that. I think it happens at home by a parent, and that's supposed to be a safe space.
Mm-hmm.
And then you jot off to school, and kids are cruel, and everybody is trying to. There's a pecking order, right? So everybody's trying to be in the right clique or in the right group, and
yeah,
be
but
seeing the right thing.
I never got made fun of by other kids in school.
No, you didn't. But your brother did.
Yes.
And so, again, we're talking about that all stems from your upbringing. That stems from
the love
you're getting at home.
I don't remember getting picked on very much as a kid, because my memory from when I was a child, because of everything that happened growing up, I don't remember a whole lot from my childhood.
Self-imposed mental blocks.
Yes, at least the negatives I blocked out. So.
Right.
But yeah, and even so fast forward to I join the Navy, I lose the weight, and my dad is like, "Oh, you can stop running, you lost enough weight."
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward a few more years, and my dad That's right when I first met you. He pokes me. He's like, "Oh, you need to start running again." Then hold on, and then we moved to Seattle. I come back and I look like this. And my dad said, you weren't around when he said this. This is what I look like when we came back from Seattle. I had gained over 100 pounds at this point. At my heaviest.
4 years.
Well, over 100. Yeah, I gained about 80 pounds while we were in Seattle. He goes, I know my daughter's in there somewhere. So, and I didn't think very much of it. Because I was trying to get my dad's approval for everything. And it took me getting stronger physically and building my confidence up and doing a lot of self-reflection over the last year to internalize shit like that made me realize, why did I give my dad the control to make me feel that way? My entire life. Whew.
Yeah, it's we've been together for just a shy of 20 years.
Yes. Yeah.
And I've had many conversations with your father about him being a narcissist. His bravado is ugly. He's not the type of person, as adults, you think about, birds of a feather flock together. Who do you want to be around? And the people that you want to be around, the people that give you the right feelings of energy. And it's hard when it comes to a parent, and you look at the parent and you say, am I supposed to love you because you're my father when I hate you as a person?
Right. And guys, I'm not trying to make this a bash my father session. I'm trying to relay that this happens to a lot of people, and it's not okay, but what is okay is realizing that it's not okay.
Whether that be through therapy, but yeah. I think if we tie this back into your journey, what we're trying to say is that you're going to be faced, it's not just about, food management and movement. It's that when you are changing your life physically, you automatically go into the wellness change as well. And so when we talk about this journey, this fitness transformation, it's not just physical. There are mental attributes beyond food management, beyond the working out or how you're getting movement, that really makes you confront your demons.
Yeah.
As to, why do you have this particular relationship with X, or what are your triggers and drivers for Y? And that is what you had figured out. And over 20 years, I can tell you that Jenny has grown increasingly stronger, not just in her physical appearance. And I know that she said a couple times that, the body she's always wanted. Now, please understand that may come off, and when I hear it, I may come off and say, well, that's conceited. You have a banging body, don't get me wrong. But you have to take it from her perspective. This is the body that she has always envisioned in her head. Yeah. Self-reflection has said, this is what I wanted, and that's what you got. Right. And so when you say, this is my body, the body I've always wanted, it's not the perfect body for everybody, right, but it's the perfect body for you at the moment.
And do know that everybody has insecurities regardless of shape and size.
Ooh.
And I may not have any physical insecurities anymore because I have, like I said, learned to love myself through my entire process, and I accept any flaws now that I have as tiger stripes or whatever you want to call them.
My battle scars.
Yeah, battle scars. But internally, I'm still trying to work on me, and I will always continue to try to be a better person. And this self-reflecting, and I think this talking to you guys on camera is helping in a lot of ways. It's very therapeutic.
Yeah, therapy doesn't have to be with a licensed professional. Therapy can be what you do for yourself, your self-care, which is extremely important. Self-care, mental health self-care. it's so important to me right now because of we're not even going to get into what happened this weekend, but we had some pretty interesting encounters that both negative and positive that gave us a great contrast, but we're not going to get into it.
But I was speaking of now going from the internal shame to let's put it out there on the other end of the spectrum is external fit shaming. We now, and I don't want anybody to feel like woe is me by being fit shamed, but it happens too on the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, let's just have a conversation about that real quick.
Yeah.
So fat shaming is weird. Jen, I think it's fair to say that we try to show our personality, and she is entirely different than I am, and where even at our largest, right? So go back and look at any of the pictures that we've shown you. From our progress photos, from when we say this is our largest until this is like a gym pic where we're fit, where Jen, from my perspective, would layer clothes on in order to try to hide the various parts of her that she was trying to camouflage, because that was where her biggest shame came from. And so Jen would camouflage, and I would always say in one way or another, like, love yourself first, age gracefully, you're a beautiful woman, don't let your weight control you. And that's easy for me to say, and this is why. One, I was delusional about how bad I was health-wise, right? Physically, I was unhealthy. You were that big. And I never, body dysmorphia is a crazy bitch.
Yeah.
She sits in your head and she toils away like no other. So, but when you think about who you are and you're doing your self-reflection, where Jen is, external appearance is what really kind of just weighed heavy on her, and that made her unhappy, and that would take away her joy. That was never my case. My case was always like, that's not my best attribute, and that's not the attribute that I think that I'm trying to show off. And so it never hindered, or at least I thought.
Right, you have such a big personality.
Never hindered my ability to connect with people, ability to navigate both my personal and professional world with efficiency. It was literally, that wasn't my biggest attribute. My personality was bigger than my weight or my appearance. And so therefore I thought that's what drew people in. That was the secret for me of my tractor being to get people to take and engage, which isn't like most people, right? People mask, I think, in different ways. And I don't believe that could be something that I figure out somewhere in my journey. But to this point, I don't ever believe that was, I didn't make my personality bigger to offset what I was trying to overcompensate for.
That's just who you were and are.
Right. And even today, I don't think that's changed at all. But from your perspective, I think that was very different, because you, no matter what positive reinforcement you got, you could not take and have the self-care. You hadn't learned the self-care. I didn't say can't take. You had not learned the self-care necessary to set the appropriate boundaries in order to allow people to believe what they're going to believe, but what they say does not define you, and it should not define you. Right. The only person who can define you is you, which I got to make this comment, and I'll share some things that are coming up in the next week and longer. But we actually had lunch with a couple friends of ours, and one of them we had met at the gym with the start of his journey.
Just over 2 years ago.
Yeah, so 26 months. Yeah. And I said, what was the most important lesson you learned during this journey, there's 26 months? And he thought about it, and I just think the answer he gave was perfect. What was the most important lesson he learned over the last 26 months? Perspective. Realizing that every decision that he is making about what he puts in his body, if he's going to go to the gym, what he's going to do at the gym, how hard he's going to push himself.
We were both blown away by his answers.
Yeah.
It's so mature.
It really was.
Yeah.
It was the most thing I learned was not about how to work out or how to form or how to eat. It was the perspective that I had to take and change how I looked at myself.
Yeah.
And how I looked at how other people may have felt about me or the things that I was doing. That these were all my choices. Mm-hmm. My choice to feel a certain way, my choice to do a certain thing. I don't think that any one word sums it up better than perspective.
And that's true. And like, if I think about that, and
kudos to Mason.
Yes, and I take it in how I have internalized everything and done the growth process. I've turned that shame into, now it was a tool. So I've changed my perspective as well. I just didn't use that word. I didn't even think of it in that manner. I mean, that's so simple, but so like amazing. But yeah, now that I'm not ashamed to admit I've had weight loss surgery, but instead it's, to me now it's simply a tool, and that's how it should always be treated. That it's not an easy way out. It's not, nothing good comes from, like, what is it, the easy way out, or whatever that saying is, like, or nothing worthwhile
comes easy.
Yeah, like, you can go get surgery and you can, continue to eat the way you were, and yeah, you'll gain the weight back. But if you continue to utilize it as a tool, then, it'll always work for you. Same thing with macro counting, same thing with plastic surgery. It just enhances your look, and if you maintain it, it will continue to stay that way. Mm-hmm. So,
I think that part of the fun, doesn't seem like it's fun at the beginning, no. But part of the fun of this process, this journey, as we call it, the transformation process, is you think you know you until you put yourself into self-imposed positions that force you to reflect and grow. And it's an amazing feeling that you really start getting the concept of it is not my responsibility to worry about what other people say about me behind my back. Yeah. It is not my responsibility to worry about their feelings. It's my responsibility to covet mine, to protect mine. It's my responsibility to set the boundaries that I need in order to be the change that I want to see for myself. How does one become better tomorrow than they are today? And that is always on reflecting from yesterday. Yeah. So you have to always look back to see forward. And that is a crazy concept, because most people say,
but don't stay in the past.
Don't look in the rearview mirror. Just always look through the windshield and keep going forward.
But no, you gotta learn from your mistakes.
You do, and you have to take stock in
ownership, like, in what you did wrong and how you could do better, and
overall improvements. So it's just overall improvements in the whole thing. And it's not, again, we've spent some time this last 5 weeks talking about, like, whether it be food management or movement or motivation or what our whys were. But in reality, everybody is going to be different. Everybody's going to have a different lens in which they see themselves. Everybody has a different family dynamic. But if you can quiet everything else and realize from a perspective standpoint, I love that word, that you are in control of everything. There is not one person that is in control of your decisions unless you have physically and mentally given them that power. Mm-hmm. But as quickly as you can take and set that power down in front of them, you can snatch that power right back up. Yeah. And be a better person. Yeah. Whatever that looks like for you. I'm not saying that you have to be anything different than you are today, but be a better person. And I think that is where through Jen's journey, through the concept of shaming, fat shaming, fit shaming, because again, that's where we kind of went off a little bit of hole there, but that's where it comes from, is when you're big, people look at you different. When you're fit, bigger people look at you different.
Not everybody that I've noticed. Not everybody, sorry.
Well,
I can't generalize.
people that maybe are skinny but not where you're at, or people that are skinny but you're fat. That doesn't even matter.
Right.
People look at you different, they treat you differently. And it baffles us that, you'll have an interaction with somebody, would be at the gym, a grocery store, just in your general whatever, day, where somebody will say something to you like, you have a great body or you have a great physique. And I think that takes a lot of courage from somebody else to compliment somebody else. And so I can appreciate that. And it's funny when you tell them, oh, this is, it's been a long process to get here. And they go, oh, yeah. And then you say, well, 3 years ago, I was obese. Mm-hmm. And then you show them a picture and their entire attitude about you changes in an instant. Yeah. Because now you're no longer the fat person who can't get healthy or the health person who's never been fat. Mm-hmm. Oh, now you're a real person. Mm-hmm. A real person who went through real struggles and has made the conscientious effort for themselves to better themselves. And I think at all levels, people find that just amazing. Mm-hmm. Like your journey, Stanley, your growth, the boundaries that you have finally started to set in your personal life that protects both your energy and your goals and thickens your skin a little bit so that people don't have the ability to break you down as easily, because words hurt and words go out. People throw words out there and then, that's the whole other thing around parents. Mm-hmm. They may say something in the moment, in their weakest of moments, or a bad moment for them, that they can't take back. You can't take it back. When you say it, you can't take it back. It's out there. Mm-hmm. It exists, and it resonates. And it again, that's from the inception process, it just seeds in and makes you start feeling. So we've been together for 20 years, and I've seen your dad at restaurants poke your belly or tell you maybe you should stop eating that hamburger or maybe you should go run. And the point of that is that being that your father, mm-hmm. it's somebody who's close to you. So
I've always sought his approval.
Yeah, take away mm-hmm. I'm a parent out of it and throw it away. Yeah. Now let's just take it to it's a loved one mm-hmm. that I am supposed to trust, that I want to have that person's approval, is the one person who keeps breaking me down, and you allow it. Mm-hmm. And so Jen allowed this, even knowing that what he was saying to her from her childhood up into her later adult years mm-hmm. has always been a narcissistic, egotistical approach to the woman's body from his male chauvinistic perspective.
And I didn't realize that, y'all, until this year.
Right.
Last year, yeah.
And you're going to realize people are assholes and people are going to say shit that they shouldn't, and let that be their own ignorance. Don't take it to heart. If you are truly in your journey, you know where you're going, then what somebody says today has no bearing or reflection on where you're going to be a year from now, 6 months from now, hell. If you're committed, the next 90 days, do it as a fuck you moment. Yeah. Show everybody that their interpretation of your abilities to succeed mm-hmm. are theirs and theirs alone, but can't define you. Don't allow them to win. And I think that's what I kept telling you is like, don't give them that power.
Yeah. And it's always easier said than done to be like, opinions are assholes. Everyone has them. Don't listen to what other people say. It's easier said than done. And it's harder in practice. But truly, like, if you can work on that, like, try to just let that go. Don't give other people the power to have an opinion on your journey, because it's your journey and your journey alone. So, feel proud of yourself as you go through it, and love yourself in every aspect.
I think it's just a great way to end it, right?
Yeah.
Love yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
That is the message that we're trying to give today. is that shame is out there. You may be feeling the shame in a very meaningful way. I do like the fact that you said, hey, ladies, you may be feeling this, but I'm here to say, hey, guys, like, don't put your head in the sand. You know it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you may even be one that's doing it to somebody else. Like, but that could be applied to women too. Like, stop shaming people. Like, stop trying to put people into a mold that you need them to be in. Why don't you just encourage them to find their path forward to whatever their best self looks like?
Yeah.
That is all. But to that point, because shame management in your own head is a therapeutic process of self-reflection, and sometimes the only way for you to self-reflect is to take and put yourself out there in the most authentic and vulnerable way. So,
or have someone point it out to you, which I had one of my best friends earlier this year say that not only have I grown physically, but I've grown mentally stronger as well. And I didn't believe her until recently. So
until you had to lay some serious significant boundaries on a 30-year relationship.
Yeah. And so I appreciate her in so many aspects in that way. So,
it's good when somebody pays attention and can give you the compliments that are meaningful. Not like you got some nice shoes on or like that blouse, but absence of who you are physically, I've seen you grow stronger mentally. That means you have somebody who's not looking at just your physical attributes, but looking at your individual personality attributes that make you who you are.
Yeah.
So here's what's going to be coming on in the next week and following, which is going to be crazy. So I did mention a comment for me about I'm going through did I mention the comment when I was talking about me? I don't know. For those of you that may not know, my journey has been 3 years, and I decided that since I have never seen what a taut, fit body looks like on myself, I've lost all the weight. Now it's all the loose skin. So I'm going to have loose skin surgery on Monday, January 30th. And so this week I will start kind of giving you my thoughts about how I feel about it, which are varied. Some days are highs, other days are lows. And matter of fact, some moments are highs and then some moments are lows.
And it's not talked about, y'all, men's plastic surgery.
There's no vulnerability,
Right. And so while I've been through it, a lot of women go through plastic surgery. I didn't feel the need to document that for me. We want to document it for Robert because men don't talk about this. And just like shame, we want to talk about it.
Yeah. I went down a rabbit hole looking for somebody to get context about what I was expecting going through from a male's perspective, not necessarily a woman's perspective.
Yeah.
And it wasn't there. Jen happened to find it in some of the bariatric Facebook groups that she's in, and found a gentleman who has been more than helpful in kind of giving me questions to like what I wish I would have known or somebody would have told me, and then that gave me the opportunity to have those same discussions with my surgeon in preparation. So I'm excited and I'm freaked out.
Yeah.
But you'll hear that over the next week. So I want to take and show my journey from the very beginning till my my skin removal surgery, and then beyond, because I want you to see exactly what the process looks like, because you yourself may find your why and may decide to go through this and may be faced with the same choice or decision. Should I or should I not? Now, and I know I'm spending a little bit of time on this than I wanted to, but one of the biggest things about me that has always kept me laughing throughout this whole thing is that when I started to see results, I would stand in the mirror and I would look at my results, and I would pass a store window that had a good reflection. I would look at my results. I would go to the bathroom at a restaurant and be washing my hands and be like, oh wow, man, you're looking good.
We called them as vanity checks.
It's my vanity check. So she would say, what are you doing? I'm like, doing a vanity check, right? Because again, physical appearance is about vanity. It's not necessarily about, it doesn't define who you are, right? And so I realized that, and I had never intentions of going to do skin removal surgery until I did. And so I'm gonna call it out there right now. I would be perfectly happy with how I look without going through surgery, but I wouldn't be overwhelmingly happy. So do I want to be content, or do I want to be satisfied? And that is where I'm going. And then you got something coming up at the exact same time. So if I go to surgery on the 30th and I come out on the 31st, what happens with Jen?
I start prep for competition bodybuilding. So for my show sometime in May or June.
What category?
I'm going to be doing the wellness category.
Yeah. So, and I say that because most people think bodybuilding and they're just like, she's going Ronnie Coleman, Arnold Schwarzenegger style, move freak, no. And that's not the case. She's going wellness. It is all about lean, tone, and taut.
I'll try to document as much as I can, but no, this is gonna
we're gonna document everything. Don't worry about it. We're gonna show her journey. So you're gonna get two journeys at the same time, and along the way, you'll get us talking about our feelings towards those, and maybe a lesson that we learned that we want to share. But I think from here on out, we're just going to keep this conversational. We're not going to try to read a script. We're not going to make it difficult.
Unless we make a great post, then we'll read the post. But other than that, yeah.
But yeah, this is kind of more organic the way we wanted to. We didn't want a polished, production.
Right.
Maybe in the future, but for right now, we think the open, authentic dialogue is best.
Yeah.
So, in summation.
Yes. In closing, so some final thoughts, I guess, are, we talked about shame, but how to get rid of shame or how to work through shame, change your perspective.
Yeah.
That's, at the end of the day, take some accountability, do some self-reflection, and change your perspective, change that shame into something positive or just not negative anymore, neutral.
Yeah. Be the change
that you want to see.
Yeah, be the change you want to see.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? You look at where you are today, where you were yesterday, and where you want to be tomorrow. And you make the conscientious effort to hold yourself accountable, to always have it on the forefront of your mind until it becomes second nature. Your why is yours. You achieving your why is yours. So give yourself grace. You're going to fail. Not everybody is going to take, and enjoy your journey.
And for those that don't, you just tell them to eat a bag of dicks.
And cut. Y'all have a great day. Please like, subscribe, and as always, share.
Yes.
Move with purpose.